This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
And now, Martin County Roofing and independent insurance agent Rudy Howard present the African American Scene. Views expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of WPSL. However, after all, we do encourage you to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors. So let's get on with it. Here is your host for the African American Scene, the one and only Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. And it feels good to be able to say Wednesday night.
I know it's a little offset there, but it was all for a good cause. IRSC
Yes.
basketball had a phenomenal year.
Yep.
And you stepped aside and let him do it. No problem. Wow, what a guy. So you're also a sports hero around here.
Okay, I still got some raffle tickets. I think this will be the last week because the drawing is coming up. I'm gonna give you the same one I gave you last week. Nobody called up and got it.
Okay. And if you haven't won in the last 30 days, you can go ahead and give it a shot.
You sure can.
You know the answer to the question. And is it going to be on the theme of Black History Month, which was,
Yes.
of course, February? But, yeah. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So if you're all caught up on your Black History information, folks, get ready to win. Get ready to win. Get ready to win. There we go.
Which state has the most Hbcus? I might even gave the answer last week. But which state has the most Hbcus? If you know that answer, there's 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
Yeah.
Listen, I have always tried to be very uplifting and positive about the current state of our environment. But I'd have to say that at this point, I don't see a lot of hope in us mending fences because it seems like our society is pretty broken. I do have an article that I'm going to go over tonight from Jeff Nelson, and he talks about why our country is so divided, and he wants to tell us what he thinks we can do about it.
Okay.
What I would like for each one of you to do, I'd like for you to give me a call, and if you're a Republican, tell me how being a Republican has benefited you. And if you're a Democrat and you want to call up and ask, tell me how being a Democrat has benefited you, I will listen to that too. And then if you have questions of me regarding my politics, I'll be more than happy to ask them. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I know I'm not going to get any phone calls, but I'm going to give it a try because I during my time at Walmart, I had a lady come up to me and she said, I just can't stand Democrats. And I said, okay. And I said, well, why? And she began to tell me what she didn't like. And I said, well, I don't like that either. And then she said something else, and I said, well, I'm in agreement with that too. Well, then she said, well, you're not a Democrat. I said, yes, I am. Not only am I a Democrat, I'm a progressive. But I think the point was she was surprised there were things that she and I agreed on.
So much that she thought you were a Republican.
Yes, she thought I was a Republican.
Well, one night you asked everybody this pretty much the same question, and you went ahead and admitted there's a policy or two that you agree with the Republicans.
Absolutely.
Not everything, but there's some common ground in there.
Yeah, I would have to say, for the most part, I'm fiscally conservative. Probably My big breakaway from the Republicans are I'm a union supporter, and most of the Republicans are not union supporters. And I'm a union supporter because the rich people have unions. It's called lobbyists.
Ah.
And the middle class people don't have lobbyists. So I think it's only right that they be entitled to have a union to help leverage their position in the workplace.
Republican or Democrat.
Yes.
The Amazon employees, they got a union now.
They did. That was big stuff.
Yeah.
That was big stuff.
And they like having that representation to help look out for the employees' interests, which I have no idea what it would be like to try to be a member of a union, except it's just another bill to pay. You got to pay the dues to have the benefits and the perks.
I have to tell you that I've a couple times, well, really just once in my lifetime, I was a member of a union. Is when I was in college and I worked at the quartermaster laundry for the summer, and I was cutting grass and whipping up clippings and leaves and stuff with a tractor. And I had to belong to the union to do that job, and I thought that was kind of wasn't crazy about that because, I was on a summer job. What are you making me be a union for? So, but I had to be a union, so I did that. But my mother was a shop steward at the Philadelphia Inquirer, and so I grew up around unionism my whole life. And one thing I can say is that for the common person, unions help them get a fair deal. Do the unions overdo it sometime? Yeah. I would say there was times when they've kind of probably pushed the envelope a little bit too hard, but they are fighting on behalf of the employees to try to get them a fair deal, and I don't have a problem with that. Let me tell you, something happened this week of interest. A federal judge struck down the Florida election law passed last year, saying in a ruling that the Republican-led government was using subtle tactics to suppress black votes. The judge called it out. He said there was absolutely tactics used to suppress black votes. And he goes on to say, for the past 20 years, the majority in the Florida legislature has attacked the voting rights of the black community. And that was what Judge Walker said. For the past 20 years, much of the debate on this bill focused on the vote by mail ballots and how to use and how they are collected and returned. The new law also limited when people could use a drop box to submit their ballots. Now, from what I understand is the law, the way it was written, is requiring a person to be there at the drop box, which, that's ridiculous. If we're all registered voters, I know plenty of people that use the drop box up by the Paula Lewis Library. There's a drop box there that people use, and you could just you get your vote and go there and drop it off. What's the big deal? I don't know.
Is that the ballot going into a drop box where, like you'd submit it when you go in to vote? You put it in the machine and it takes it. You can only put it in one certain way, and It counts all the votes. Is that one? Is that the kind of drop box you're talking about?
No. This drop box is you have a mail-in ballot, and so you filled out everything, and rather than put it in the mail, you can go and drop it at a drop box at one of the poll sites. And there's a box outside that you just go and you drop your ballot in there, and then they empty the box at night, and then they count them.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't see what the problem is with that. I saw a thing by Angus King from Maine. They have mail-in voting. They got drop boxes. They got same-day registration, and no voter fraud. So you know how I feel about this situation with the voting thing. But let's try to examine a little bit about where we are. This article gives us a map, and the map has the red and the blue highlighted. You can see here, Cliff. It's got the red and the blue states highlighted to represent the Republican and the Democratic areas. Americans have been bitterly divided over tradition, faith, moral, and the rights of people of color, women, the poor, immigration, and other groups. So those are the things that kind of divide us. Again, I welcome your thoughts, 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
There's also a trivia question going on right now, too.
Yes. Which state has the most HBCUs? And if you get that, you win a raffle ticket for the Easter House for the YMCA.
I think you did give the answer last week.
I did.
If I can remember that, somebody out there can remember, because I also remembered what the acronym stood for, and you told us.
Yep.
But that doesn't give you the answer. The answer is which state are the most of them.
Yes.
HBCUs.
Yep.
All right.
So, it tells us that those are the fundamental issues that seem to separate us. And I guess I wouldn't have a hard time identifying that. Back in 1994, a Pew Research report showed that our split was about 15%. By 2017, the split was 36%. So how about that? So we went from a split of 15% to a split of 36%. So we are just getting more and more divided. That was from 1994 to 2017, and that split had grown that much. And we have Susan on line one. Yes, ma'am.
Rudy, is it the state of Virginia?
No.
I wasn't sure.
Last night I watched The Imitation of Life. It was an old movie, and it was about Aunt Jemima, or the woman that was responsible for, well, I guess it was about Aunt Jemima. But the thing was that she sent her daughter off to Virginia because that's where they had the most black colleges. Was that what the acronym is?
No.
Okay,
HBC,
I'm wrong.
yeah. HBCU stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities.
Okay, and that's what I thought it meant, but I thought it was in Virginia, and I
And
was wrong.
and and let me tell you, uh, a description of Aunt Jemima for Imitation of Life. That was just
Was it?
that was a heartbreaking movie.
Oh, it was horrid, but
Oh,
it was, but very realistic for the time. So
yes, it was very
yeah,
realistic for the time. There were
yeah,
people like
and that's
that you couldn't tell,
yeah,
and they passed.
yep,
So
and um, and it was so sad. It was so sad, but she did have a quite a lovely funeral. Let me
yeah,
tell you, she had a wonderful funeral, and she deserved it. She, you know, was a strong woman in her own way, but she didn't want to change. So, and it was hard for her to see her daughter be the way she was. Good movie, though. I'd highly recommend it.
yeah, that
Appreciate the
that is
call. Yeah.
yes. Thanks for the
Wow.
call. That movie's
Well, thank you, but I wish I would have won.
no, it's
Okay, I
okay.
hope
Well,
I'm
you're
looking
you're
forward to
eligible,
the
so you
answer.
hear another question that we do. You go ahead and you go ahead and research.
Well,
if you want.
I'm looking forward to the answer because I didn't have time to stop and try to Google it, but that was
Okay.
off the top of my head.
All righty.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, no problem. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
It's a show that compels people to think, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you can get them to think, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're talking good about you or bad about you, as long as they're talking about you. That's a goal right there. But if you you can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. You lead a horse to water and can't make him drink. It's sort of along the same lines.
I have to tell you guys, since you brought up the Imitation of Life, that movie was a heartbreaker, and I'll tell you why. The story is about a black woman that had a child who looked white, and the child was constantly trying to be separated from her mother because she could pass for white, but her mother could not. So she did all kinds of things to try to break away from her. And then at one point, she had a boyfriend, and then the boyfriend found out that she was black, and he beat the crap out of her. And she finally got away, and she went to Chicago or somewhere, and she was a dancer in a troupe. And her mother came and found her. And so she ran again, and then her mother died. And she came home to the funeral. And she was torn up that she let her mother die like that. It was really, really emotional thing to see what happened there. But anyway, so that's Imitation of Life, and it was with Lana Turner. And boy, I don't know if you don't remember her. She was absolutely just drop dead gorgeous too. Okay, let's talk about what my man here does with this article. He basically says there's two basic groups in America. The citizen exchanges are a measure of personal liberty and for membership in a mutual supportive society. So there's the citizen exchanges, which is identification of a group. The other side of that is the followers of the counter enlightenment. This group believes in an ethnic nation, which is rooted in their race, and culture. While this focus can appeal to bigots and counter Enlightenment people, are not necessarily racist. So these counter Enlightenment people can be bigots, but they're not necessarily racist. And you know what? I agree with that. I think I know some people who are bigots, but they're not racist. And they don't even know that they're bigots in some instances. But interesting, but notice the focus of this other group. It's an ethnic focus. Now, that seems to be something that's kind of going on around the world right now. A focus on ethnic identity. There is a challenge to Macron in France by Le Pen, who is another one of those ethnic purists. Now, one thing we have to know for sure, there's a lot of money that can be made by making people angry and afraid. So you agree with that, Cliff?
Amen.
Yes. You can make money out of that.
Big money.
Yep. So it's like earlier I was having a discussion with someone who called me at the house and told me there was a Pentagon paper that showed that the United States government put together a biolab in Ukraine. And you know, Tucker Carlson has started, who I detest, I deplore, and I think he is a piece of crap. He had put this out there that the United States is potentially developing a chemical weapon for Ukraine. And the Washington Post gave it 4 Pinocchios. There's absolutely no truth to it. I didn't think there was any truth to it. And for once, I said I didn't really challenge him the way I normally would. I let him get away with that, even though I found it very irritating. The two groups' attitudes toward culture are very significant. Democrats have a tendency to not pay as much attention to culture. They're really good at using science and coming up with solutions, but they can be oblivious to culture. So Democrats is sometimes stuck in a science-driven world. So I guess I can be guilty of that. Democrats tend to want to just be with the facts, not much with the cultural thing. Let me get the facts and go with that. But so they can be oblivious to understanding how culture affects the mindset of other people. When talking to someone with a different perspective, he advises to stop trying to make sense for a while, stop trying to correct them, practice some awareness, compassion, and find some shared values. So he's suggesting that being right is not necessarily that important. What you want to try to do as much as possible is see if you can come up with some shared values. But I that can be very, very difficult. I can tell you that. It can be very, very, very difficult. Okay, and we have Steve on line one.
Hey, Steve. Go
Hello,
ahead.
Rudy. How are you?
Okay.
Good. I have a take on this. I was married to an American Indian, a Potawatomi Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Now, other than her, everybody else, including me, that I know is an immigrant.
Yes.
Every one of our families came here from somewhere else. So for these people now to sit around going, I'm an American and you're not, and all, that's crazy. It's just nuts. If you were born in America, you are an American. I don't care of what descent you are an American. If you don't believe me, take your American passport and go to Europe and start claiming that you're European or of European descent. They will set you straight in a heartbeat.
I agree.
In Italy, I witnessed two Goombas all the way on the flight over there about how Italian they were. When they got there at customs, they were still doing it, and the customs guy took them aside and said, listen, you are an American, not an Italian. Try to act like it. He said, you are in a foreign country now. You are an American, not an Italian. And these guys were stunned. I mean, the Goomba shut right down. They got humble like everybody. But that's what I'm trying to get across to Americans. I don't want to hear anything about I'm an Italian American, I'm a Jewish American. You're an American, period. And if you go anywhere else, that's how they're going to view you. I don't even care if it's Canada or Mexico. They're going to view you as an American.
It's true.
So we need to start recognizing our own culture and our own race, which is an American culture and a mixology of race.
And I don't understand.
That's what we are.
I don't understand why that is so difficult for people to grasp. I
had no idea.
It blows away.
In Vietnam once we had a couple of rednecks. We had a black medic. And so as a buck sergeant, I ordered the medic not to treat them if they got hit because, they were racist and they didn't want him touching them. Well, as soon as they found that out, by God, they turned to cooperative.
The one man who could save their life in a war.
Yeah. And they were going to badmouth him. So I told him, stay away from them. They get hit, let them take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Well, when they heard that, they got their attention. You didn't hear any more redneck out of them.
I just read something tonight that I know you would appreciate. Because of all this controversy with Will Smith and Chris Rock, they said there was another very famous incident most people have forgot all about. When Marlon Brando won the Oscar for Godfather, he sent Little Feathers up there to accept the award because he wouldn't accept the award because of Wounded Knee.
Right.
And she asked the Academy and the people in the audience if they would please be more sensitive about how they portrayed her people in movies and in TV shows. Wow, I thought that was a lot of guts. And, well, of course, she got some boos, and they said, John Wayne went absolutely berserk in the back. He was going to try to yank her out of the building. They had to restrain him. But I thought,
I got news for John Wayne fans. 60% of the cowboys in the Old West were Mexican. 25% were blacks, and the rest were white and Asian.
you're right.
If you look at any of the TV shows, they're all white guys.
I know.
You know,
I know.
and 60% were Mexicans and 25% were black. The white guy was basically just a dot somewhere in the line. You know what I'm saying? Numbers-wise. But in history, they're made out to be 100% white cowboys.
Yep. Do you know
I gotta tell you something.
the very famous story about the Lone Ranger? That was patterned after this black guy, who was he was a bad butt. He had captured.
Exactly.
You heard about him too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a history nut.
Yeah.
And, there's so many incidents in history where we come off as such hypocrites.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And we do it with a straight face.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. But right now, the only rabble-rousing that I see that we should be doing is cheering on the Ukrainians
Oh, yeah.
to stand their ground.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
as far as in this country, you should get down and kiss the ground that you're standing on for being able to be in this country.
Yes, it's true.
You know, if you think there's a better country, I'll buy you the ticket one way.
Yes,
But
sir.
I'll get you first class. That'll be the last first class you ever have. But,
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yes, it's very true.
So
Thank you, my friend.
it's going to come down to the people have got to stand up. You remember the silent majority?
Yes.
They got to get vocal.
Yes.
They really do.
Yes, they do.
And I'm one of them. I'm just sick of it. So now when people pop up, I pop up to correct them.
Well,
And at
thank you.
6'1", they really don't want to take me on. You know what I mean? A lot of people try to bully you. I'm too big to bully. So
Well, thank you, my friend.
they just back down. What's
Okay.
that?
Yeah, all right. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Well, I just
Steve.
wanted to give you the thoughts.
Appreciate it.
And America has got to understand we are American, period.
Yes, sir.
So stay well, Rudy.
Okay, thank you. Same to you. And we got Winnie. Winnie.
Hey, how you doing, my friend?
Okay, how about yourself?
I'm good. And what you think about Chris Rock and Will Smith? What you think Academy gonna do? They gonna suspend him? They gonna ban him and jail him? What you think? What gonna happen?
Well, he stepped down from the Academy. I think he did that to avoid having to get the discipline from the Academy. So he stepped down from the Academy.
What that mean?
Well, he was a member of the Academy as an actor, big-time actor. So,
Makes him eligible to get awards,
yeah.
being a member,
So he stepped down. But I don't think we've heard the end of him because he's pretty popular.
Yes.
I understand that they postponed some of the things they had in the hopper that they were working on for him, but I think that they'll continue to do some business with him.
Chris Rock tickets were selling like hotcakes that night.
They were, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I heard that. I sure heard that. That's wrong, to my opinion. That's wrong. You don't go out slapping people. You don't like a joke or whatever. Put people to the side. And, tell them how you feel. You're just going around assaulting people and things like that. And, that to me, that's my opinion, because if somebody slapped me, I'm going to slap them back. I don't want nobody to be slapping on me.
I wonder what would have happened if Chris Rock had turned around and popped him back real good.
That would have been interesting, huh?
Somebody would have done it. Somebody would have pressed charge on him, and then they would have turned around and had him arrested.
There's some people, I believe, if he had a smacked, it would have been on right there.
Right, it would have.
Like if he'd have smacked D.L. Hughley like that,
Ooh.
You know that would have been on right then and there on the spot.
And with the Rock, the Rock used to be wrestling. He act now. I was quite sure would have slapped a red night too. It would have been on.
Yeah.
I just throw some names out there, things like this here. They said they want to do some more disciplinarity. I don't know what that is. I don't. We'll find out though what it is. I'm talking about Oscar Academy, things like this here. Stuff like that should be happening. Violence and things like this here and everything. Want to set an example, not a bad example. Okay, take care.
Okay, thank you. Thanks
Okay,
for calling. She is such a faithful listener.
Always there.
Yeah. Okay, here are the 5 things Critchley suggests that would help us bridge the divide.
Is food on the list? I'll bet you food's in there somewhere.
Right from the start, show respect, goodwill, and vulnerability. Leave your defenses behind and show you're ready to be honest and authentic. That's number 1. So that's what he's saying. In order to bridge the gap. Number 2. Control the natural human instinct to judge people who disagree with you. Just be aware of what they're saying without trying to correct them. You can return to your differences later, maybe after you've established trust. That's number 2. Number 3, look for your points of agreement. De-emphasize the differences. Trust can grow from shared values. That can be a tough one. That can be a real tough one. I can see how that could be beneficial, but that could be a tough one. Focus on building trust, not making points. When ideological opponents can stop vilifying each other and can stop viewing differences and stop viewing different viewpoints as evil, American society can resume the work of compromise and progress. That's number 4. And number 5, don't expect opposition to disappear. The point is not to eliminate conflict, but to repair our society's ability to handle it constructively. So what do you guys think about that? Those 5 items are his suggestions for how we can mend the fences of our society. I happen to think Steve's got the best solution of all, which I heartily endorse. Just understand we're all Americans. We should all be treated like Americans. Stop being in our tribal groups. We're American citizens. I mean, as he said, we should thank our lucky stars. Can you imagine living and your house is getting bombed and your streets are getting bombed and they're shooting people down in your block, man, that's got to be tough stuff there. So I don't know. But I think we have to try. I'm not real optimistic at this point, especially with how they treated Judge Jackson and this marvelously qualified lady. She got 3 Republican votes. Well, that, for God's sake, that's better than none. But she got 3 votes, and one of them, Lisa Murkowski, said that vote might cost her seat in Alaska for voting for Judge Jackson, who is, even the people that didn't vote for her, if you listen to their description of her, they all gave her glowing comments about her intellectual capacity and her marvelous record, but then they won't vote for her because it's so tribal now.
Peer pressure?
It's just tribal. You can't do anything that the other side wants done.
Wow.
I mean, you think about what Mitch McConnell did after President Obama became president. He said his number one mission in life was to make Obama a one-term president. Now, he wasn't successful, but he openly stated that was his mission, was to make President Obama a one-term president. That certainly didn't help any. I'm going to say the quiet thing out loud. Okay? And Crutchley, who wrote this article, was also a member of the Obama cabinet. When Obama won the presidency, that really, really, really shook up some people in this country. And if you, I get information from the Southern Poverty Law Group, which they're pledged to fight racist organizations. The membership in white nationalist hate groups jumped after President Obama became president. And I think that started what has come to be a ongoing problem in terms of our division in politics. But what I'd like to hear, I have asked over and over for someone to tell me how being a Republican has benefited you in today's society. I don't seem to get an answer. I want an answer. I'd like to hear what.
When people are speechless, it's hard to give an answer.
Yeah, just tell me why you are Republican, and Republicanism seems to be on the growth. So why are more people turning to Republican? I know they said for the first time there's more Republicans in Florida than there are Democrats for the first time ever. But I would venture to guess that's because there's a significant amount of independents in the state of Florida too. I know that to be the fact around here. There's a pretty significant number of independents. So, but I'm interested to know why you are a Republican. Is it strictly culture? You don't want to have history taught in the classroom? You don't want people to vote? What what's the story? I'm not sure I understand why. What is your motivation for wanting to be a Republican? Now, what I will say to you is, and let me tip my hat to Republicans, they have made it appear to be an honor to be associated with the Republican Party. It's like being in a club, a special upscale club that they have very carefully fashioned a picture that if you are a member of the Republican Party, you're in the groove, you're in the right groove, as opposed to being a Democrat or a progressive. But there are Democrats and progressives. Evidence me. I am one. I am one, and I don't apologize. I am proud to be a progressive and Democrat. And there's people out there that I am fond of, who I might even vote for, who are not Democrats. But I'm not going to say that on here. But I would just think that it might be in your best interest to carefully explore why you are giving your allegiance to the party. How's that helping you? Because your party should be able to deliver on the things that are important to you. So I guess if critical race theory is that important to you, that might be a reason why you would vote for a Republican. Don't say gay is important to you. It could be another reason why you want to vote Republican. Although I would tell you that I think Governor DeSantis is playing with fire with that "don't say gay" thing and taking on Disney. I'm not sure you want to take on Disney. That's if you want to take on somebody, that's probably not the company you want to take on. That's got gazillions of dollars
and lawyers, gazillions of lawyers.
Yeah, I think wisdom would say that that's probably not a real wise move.
Yeah.
But somebody else might, other people might look at it and say, yeah, look at him. He's a tough guy. He's willing to fight Disney. Yeah, okay. We'll see.
But wait till he gets slam dunked by Porky Pig or Goofy.
Yeah. And from what I understand, Mickey Mouse gave him a pretty big contribution last time around. I would venture to guess he's not going to get that contribution again.
Mickey Mouse can be a dirty rat sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know, and I hate that we have evolved into all these cultural debates and things that this is a problem and that's a problem. We need to be careful about immigration, and as Steve said, when you look at it, like I've heard people say, nobody should be able to do anything but speak English in the United States. Newsflash: Spanish was being spoken in the United States before English.
There's more Spanish-speaking people in the world, as in on the earth. More people speak Spanish than any other language.
Yes.
That's an amazing little factoid. You can double research and find out that it's true, like it or not.
Well, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
listen, if
some
you
folks
did-
don't like the facts. That's what really bugs people. Is and another thing that's not tolerated in this country or culture anymore is truth. Where did truth go? What good is truth if you don't even want to consider it?
I that is the issue that has really blown my mind in the past few years. This unwillingness to accept truth and to build on lies. It is like, to me, is like, and there's still people out there that believe that President Trump's election was stolen. No matter how much information that they get, no matter how many lawsuits that he lost like 60 lawsuits, they still think the election was stolen. Based on what? But according to Crutchley, in order to try to bridge the gap, we can't challenge that. We got to kind of let them have that thought process in their mind and see if we can come up with something else that we can talk about, that we can agree on. That's tough, but I have and I know I got this from my father for sure. When somebody says something that's not true, and God knows if my sister's listening, she knows I got this from Dad, I have a tough time letting it go when I know it's not true. When I know it's not true.
Well, yeah. Well, you studied the English language all your life, and of course, when somebody comes along and they put a question mark on the end of every sentence that needs a period, you know what I'm saying? Now,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Or they'll just say, know what I'm saying? Just ask a question to get you to go, We shouldn't have to respond to every sentence somebody gives us unless they're really trying to tell us something that maybe we don't want to know or don't need to know. But when somebody's trying to impose some thought on us, that's the difference. That's what we can tell.
Listen, like I said, I told you I was really proud of myself today. He started telling me this stuff about the Pentagon Papers creating a chemical weapon in Ukraine.
Ooh.
I knew that was completely bogus. I knew that was bogus. But I just said okay, because Tucker Carlson said so.
Oh, and then there are always the parrots that believe everything that they hear because somebody said it, of whatever credibility, whatever your favorite credibility is, folks. But hey, this is an alternative to all the, everyday average run-of-the-mill right-wing talking points. Right?
Yes.
This is your break from all that. It's a little different than what you're used to, but some people need to change their minds.
And you know what? If you need to just look at a movie, why don't you pull up Imitation of Life? That would be a good movie for you to look at. I'd like to thank you so much for listening to the African American Scene. God bless. Be safe, and I'll see you next Wednesday right here for the African American Scene.
On WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.